If you have been drafting patterns on paper and are wondering if you can make the leap to digital, then this video is for you. Today, I'm going to show you how easy it is to draft a 3-tiered skirt in Affinity Designer, even if you are new to that software or new to doing anything digital. Hi, I'm Christina, and I love to digitally pattern draft using programs like Affinity Designer, Adobe Illustrator, and Clo 3D to bring my ideas to life digitally so that I can wear them and also share them. Today I'm going to be working in half scale, but you can totally adapt everything that I am doing for full size for your measurements. All you're going to need to do is do a little bit of math and have some fun with it. So there's going to be no fancy plugins, no fancy setup. We're just going to start with your ideas and a blank canvas in Affinity Designer. Before I dive in, I would love to know, what would you love to see patterned in Affinity Designer next? I would love to hear from you. So I'm going to bring up my Affinity Designer screen here and we will get started. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to want to draft our waistband. Now you're going to need to basically just know the measurements for your waist and your hips for this project, and we can get started. So my half scale's waist is 16 inches. So I'm going to start by getting onto my square tool, and then I'm just going to start drafting a rectangle right there. Then I'm going to come down to my transform pattern right here, because that's actually going to be where I'm going to be sizing the square to the exact proportions I want. So the width, this is my waistband. I'm just going to have a single waistband all the way around. So that's going to be 16. Height, I'm going to do a 1.5 inch height for my 1.5 inch high for my waistband. So it's only 1.5 inches tall. That is my waistband. Now it can be easy to want to actually add some notches and all that so that you have all that information. And that is a good thing to do for when you are sewing it for sure. I'm not going to dive into that fully today. I'm just going to be drafting our 3-tiered skirt. So the next one is I need to know my hips. My half scale's hips measures 20 inches. So I'm going to want to have at least 20 inches in my top tier for the front and for the back. So it's one of those things that you can decide if you want to have 2 times the amount, 3 times the amount. I'm going to start with 2 times the amount. So I'm going to do 40, which means I'm going to do 20 in the front and 20 in the back. So I'm going to go ahead and draft another square. I'm going to do 20 on the front. Now we have to also decide what kind of tiered skirt we want to do. Do we want all the tiers to be even? Do we want the tiers to be growing bigger? Do we want the tiers to be growing smaller so it looks more like a ruffle at the bottom? There are so many different options that you can do. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep all my tiers the same height this time. And I think I'm going to start them off at 7. So that is my front. What I want to do is I actually want to grab it. So I'm going to grab it, hold Alt, and pull it so that I have a back. So I know this is going to be my top tier front, top tier back. This is going to you want to make sure that you kind of keep them separate. It's always important to, within your patterns, to kind of keep everything organized so you can see what's going on where and what is what. So that's something I always recommend, is kind of keep your artboards very clean and keep your pattern pieces organized. One thing I could do is I could actually put this right in the middle of the two so that I kind of know this one's front, this one's back, and all that. In all honesty, because I'm doing side seams, this would probably be, the front center would probably be, well, if this is my front, I'd probably do a front center, then the side seam would be right in the middle, and the front and then the center back would be in the middle, and then this would be the other side seam. But it's just something to think about. So I did a 2-to-1 around my hips. Now the question is going to be, do I want to continue that all the way down, or do I want to, how full do I want it to be? So I'm kind of wanting it to kind of go really full. So I'm going to do another 2-to-1. So that means the next tier, the next square that I make is going to be 40 inches by 7. Then I'm going to move that so that it lines up here. Whoops. And then we're going to hold Alt, pull it so that it lines up there, so that I have my fronts and my backs all happening at once. And I am going to have to make my artboard a little bit bigger, I think, because I am definitely having my patterns off of the edge of that. So, I don't necessarily have to do a front and a back. However, depending on what type of fabric you are making your skirt out of is going to depend on how long your panels can be. Because I'm already at 40. The next one up is going to be 80. So we're going to have to then think about this. Most fabrics you're going to buy are not going to be 80 inches long. If you're making this out of a simple cotton, then you're going to be stuck at the 44 inches wide. So you have to consider, you have to continue to think, how am I increasing the ruffles at the proportion I want while still maintaining and thinking about the fabric I will be using. So if you're using a 45-inch fabric wide, you have to start thinking about that now, because the 40 inches does not include your seam allowance. So you're already basically edge to edge. So this bottom pattern piece, you can draft it as big as you would really want it to be. So if I drafted it, it would be 80 inches by 7. And then that would go to this one, and that's going to be all over here. So that's going to, I'm going to go ahead and, because this is also not going to fit all on one page, we're going to kind of move this around a little bit so that we can kind of see it a little bit better. And I could have done that in half, but I didn't. So I'm just going to be working with the half right now, and then you can double them all. So if I was working with 45-inch fabric, I would basically have to cut my 81 in half, and instead of having two panels front and back, I'm actually going to have 4 panels. Well, I said that wrong. Instead of having 1 panel front and back, I'm going to have 2 panels front and back, creating 4 panels totally. So that's when you could either divide this one right in half, or you can say, this is the one I'm going to do, and I'm going to do one here and one here with it sewn together. So that would be how you can create that 3-tiered skirt. Now you still need to think about how you want to finish your skirt. Is this going to be I patterned it so that it would be more of like a zipper set in, because I patterned my waistband to be exact what my measurement is around my waist, so there's not going to be any give. That is one thing to highly consider. If you want it to be an elastic waistband, it's going to have to stretch over your hips. So your waistband's going to have to be at least 2 inches bigger than your hips. Then it will have to shrink down to your hips. So we could have done that, and you still can do that by easily creating another rectangle that is 20 by 1.5. And then you can do a gathered waistband. So it's all those little tiny details that you have to think about when you're actually patterning it. It's how you want it to be finished, how you want it to be worn. So make sure that you are considering all of those aspects before you are diving into drafting. And that's it. Your tiered skirt is ready to go from the screen to your sewing machine. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to subscribe for more fun digital pattern drafting videos with me in Affinity Designer, Illustrator, and Clo 3D. I've got some more Affinity Designer tutorials to help you build your skills and confidence in patterning digitally. So make sure to check some of those out and let me know again, what would you like to see drafted in Affinity Designer? You never know, your suggestion may be my next tutorial. I look forward to seeing you in some of my other tutorials. See you there.